Today we're going to look at how to multiply decimals. In My Math, it's lesson 6.5. Please get out your My Math book so that you can fill in the answers along with me. On page 403, let's learn how to multiply decimals. Nina is buying peanuts in bulk. The peanuts cost 75 cents for each pound. She purchased 2 1/10 pounds of peanuts. How much will Nina pay? Round to the nearest cent. I want to talk about the word bulk. In case you don't know what that means, it just means in a large amount. So if you go to like a Costco or a BJ's, you can get like, instead of 6 rolls of toilet paper, you can get like 30 rolls of toilet paper all at once. So that's what bulk means. So she's buying peanuts in bulk. The peanuts cost 75 cents for each pound, and she purchased 2 1/10 pounds of the peanuts. So what are we asked to find? How much she pays. We're going to round to the nearest cent, or penny, or hundredths place. First, let's do an estimate. If we take 75 cents and round it, it's close to $1. And 2 1/10 is close to 2. And $1 twice is $2. So our estimate is about $2. To multiply decimals by other decimals, we just multiply as if they were whole numbers. We do not focus on lining up our decimal points. This is not addition or subtraction. Notice we do not line up the decimal points. We don't force that. So we can ignore the decimal points and write it as if they were whole numbers, 75 and 21. Starting with our 1, we multiply it 1 times 5 and 1 times 7. We're done with the 1. We now move over to the 2, which means we have to drop a 0. Don't forget to do that. 2 has to share over to the 5. 2 times 5 is 10. I put my 0 down and I carry my 1. Now 2 has to share up to the 7. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. I put my 5 down, I carry my 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Then I add the 2 partial products together. So where do I place my decimal point? Just like in our previous lesson when we multiplied a whole number by a decimal, you have to count the decimal places in the problem and make sure your answer or product has the same number of decimal places. So if I go to my original problem and I count the decimal places, the 7, the 5, and the 1 are all in the decimal place values. That's a total of 2 plus 1, or 3 decimal spots that I need in my product. Starting on the right, I need to make sure I have 1, 2, 3 decimal spots in my product, and then I can put my decimal point. So we got 1.575 when we did the multiplication. If you went up and reread our problem, it says round to the nearest cent. When we talk about money, we usually don't talk about money to the thousandths place. We keep it in the hundredths place. So let's round 1.575 to the nearest hundredths. Look to my neighbor. 5 and above, give it a shove. So the 7 goes up to an 8. And then I can drop my 5. So I would have $1.58. So she's paying $1.58 for the peanuts. If we compare that with our estimate was $2, and it's close to $1.58. So we know our answer is reasonable. Let's take a look at the next problem. Remember, you should be doing this in your book. DeMarcus is buying a new guitar pick that costs 50 cents. The sales tax is found by multiplying the cost of the guitar pick by 6/100. What is the cost of the sales tax for the pick? You'll learn a little bit more about sales tax next year in 6th grade, but pretty much a percentage of what you pay for certain items is added to the cost. So a lot of places it's 6% sales tax, some places it's 7%, and if I were to write 6% as a decimal, this is what it appears to be. Okay, so 6% sales tax is 6/100. Just as a little FYI. So what do we know? He's buying a guitar pick that costs 50 cents, and we multiply the cost by that 6% or 6/100 to find out the sales tax. We're taking 6% of that amount. So we're asked to find the sales tax. What extra amount will he pay for the guitar pick? The estimate is to take 50 cents and round it to $1. And 6/100, 6 pennies is not a lot, so we're going to keep it at 0. So our estimate's 0. Now, that means that it's going to be a small amount of money, under $1, presumably, that he will be paying for sales tax. So again, we multiply as if these were whole numbers. There's a lot of zeros in here. The zeros that are representing the lack of $1, okay, the 0 that's saying that there are no dollars, and the 0 that's saying there are no holes, you don't necessarily need to write them, okay? So if your book is writing them, that's fine, but you don't have to include them. So another way you could have set up this problem is like that. Now, the decimal points line up just because of the way the numbers are, not because I forced it. Notice that when I wrote this, I put my 6 first, and then I built the rest of my numbers. So you can write it without these 2 whole zeros. All right, multiply 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. Now, I don't need to do the extra layers because 0 is going to be 0, right? 0 times anything is 0. So I have 300. Let's fit in our decimal points. Going back to our original problem, how many values were in the decimal place values? I had 5, 0, 0, and 6. 2 plus 2, I have 4 decimal spots that I need. So starting on the right side of our number, of our product, I need 1, 2, 3. I need another one. I have to have it. So we would fill in a 0 for that 4th spot that we must have, and then we put our decimal point. And we usually like to throw a 0 to show no holes. Now remember that the zeros at the end of a decimal, far to the right, can fall off. You don't need them. So 50 cents times 6%, or 6/100, is 0.03, and I took off those 2 extra zeros, so it makes sense. So the sales tax is 3 cents. So he will pay an extra 3 cents in tax for that guitar pick. If we look at our estimate, which was 0, the product, 3 cents, is really close to our estimate of 0. 3 pennies is close to nothing. So our answer is reasonable. At this time, I would like for you to work on the guided practice in your book. Remember, do not force the decimal points to line up. In looking at these, they're going to, okay, because they all have the same number of decimal place values, but you might get to other problems where they don't line up. For example, in the independent practice, number 5, they're not lining up because they don't have to. They actually set these up for you. How lucky are you? And then you get down here, they're not set up for you. So please continue to work through this in your book. Raise your hand if you have any questions, and have a great day.